Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Sentinel 13 Aegis, Aegis RIM for the PS4. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll link down in the description down below, or you could click on the card that will appear up on this YouTube video though. In 2007, Vanillaware, the developer of 13 Sentinel, released a game for the PlayStation 2 though, and that game goes by the name of Odinsphere. This was a 2D style game with basically gorgeous and beautiful art style that the company is known for, and it became it gained an audience, let's say to be exact, even though it was technically would be more like a niche game to a certain degree, but it was a game I definitely enjoyed, even though it came out like at very late in the PlayStation 2 life cycle though. They would also release other games like Muramasa the Demon Blade that would be released on the Nintendo Wii that would later be ported over to the PlayStation Vita. They also released Dragon Crown, which is almost kind of like a spiritual successor to Golden Axe in a way, that would be released on the PS3. It would also come to the Vita and then later over to the PlayStation 4 though. Same with Odinsphere as well. So one of the new, however, they've also recently worked on this one, which was sort of interesting. When I first saw the trailer for this game, I did not know what to make of it and all that stuff. While they showed up some interesting parts of the 2D art style and all, I didn't know what the gameplay was going to be like and all. Well, after spending some time with 13 Sentinel, I will say it's definitely a fun game though, but it's also there's some issues here and there, and it also maintains basically what it is a niche title, and that is going to be a title that won't be for everyone, to be exact. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off with our first part, which is the pros. And the first one I want to do is the art style. And as I mentioned before, Vanillaware is known for doing these gorgeous 2D art styles and all that stuff, and that is still maintained in this game though. I mean, it may not have the same art style, it may not look as beautiful as, say, like Muramasa Demon Blade or Dragon Crown or Odinsphere to be exact, but it still holds up very well nevertheless though. I like the character designs in general and the whole, the drawings and all that stuff. So from a graphical standpoint, the 2D art style looks great, and it maintains one of the selling points that Vanillaware is known for. The next thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. And the gameplay is sort of split into two parts. You got the story, and then you got the combat part. The combat part, you basically move your character that's in a Sentinel across basically what looks like a grid, and it's kind of like a turn-based strategy RPG in a way though. But what makes it interesting is the art style though, and that is because your Sentinels and the Kajis, or the enemies, look like 8-bit pixels that look very similar to something you would see like in like an old arcade game. Like some of the characters look like something was ripped out of like Galaga or Space Invaders in a way, but it still is neat nevertheless though. And basically you move your Sentinel, you basically position your Sentinel, and depending on how close you are to the enemies, you'll use basically certain attacks. Some will take out certain MPs, some may not though, but the ones that do take out some MPs also can basically do a lot of damage. You can also, defend take your Sentinel out, get it repaired, and then bring it back in, and so forth. So from a gameplay perspective, that part is fun. The story part is basically where you move your character around, sort of advancing the story. You basically hear dialogues here and there, and interesting points in the story as well to unlock more parts of it though. So it's basically split into two parts, the combat and the story. And I will say the combat is like interesting and fun, at least in my book though. And last but not least is the story, which is, I mentioned a little bit about the story in terms of the gameplay part, but as a whole though, the story is actually kind of neat. It's kind of like, it's very, for those who are like into a lot of sci-fi stuff, considering you get parts of it feels like one part Terminator one part War of the Worlds, and one part to some degree like E.T., to even basically getting something that feels like something you see from Pacific Rim or one of my favorite animes, Neon Genesis Evangelical, if I'm saying the name correctly though. So you definitely get that, considering the fact that they mention some of those like old sci-fi movies, considering some of the time period it takes place. Some of the time period takes place in the future, others takes place in 1985 and all. So it's just really neat. And if you're into a lot of sci-fi or into those mecha kind of stories though, you'll definitely like what's in 13 Sentinels and these. And it's definitely will appeal to those kind of, to that audience though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim for the PlayStation 4. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And for the cons though, there are 2 parts that I can at least think of in terms of the con. And this one sort of revolves around the story in a way. Now, as I mentioned before, I think the story is enjoyable, and it is, especially considering it covers a lot of sci-fi stuff in it, and it will be great, and it's definitely great to those who are like anime fans, particularly those who are mecha, whether mechas, you know, like Neon Genesis, as I mentioned before. But I can understand the story is not going to appeal for everyone. This is mostly like a love letter to those who like, you know, like 80s sci-fi stuff, whether it was like War of the World or like old sci-fi stuff, like whether it's War of the Worlds, E.T., or other geeky sci-fi things though, and yes, even some animes here and there as well. So it's the story, basically, because this is a niche game, the story is not going to appeal to everyone though. Like I said, I enjoy the story. I think I like a lot of the sci-fi geeky stuff though. I love how they make references to movies from Steven Spielberg, to even, you know, movies like I mentioned, War of the Worlds, and some of the story you definitely get a little bit of a Terminator vibe to it, and also a lot of the Neon Genesis and other animes vibe to it, which to me is a good thing, but I can understand it may not appeal for everyone though. So the story will be enjoyable for some who are into that kind of stuff, but may not be for others. And last but not least, about the story though, that it's also mentioned is that the story part of the gameplay, or should I say the non-combat part, can feel like a drag sometimes. Compared to, you know, the combat side of it, the story, there's really isn't much to do other than just move your character around, collecting, you know, different things that people has to say and all that stuff, and that's pretty much it though. I mean, some people don't have an issue with this, others might though, and so that's the part where it can feel like it's a drag sometimes. So it comes off as the combat part is fun, the story part not so much. Personally, I don't have a huge amount of issue with the non-combat part, but I can understand where some people, it may not be for everyone who just want to get straight into the action and all. In fact, this feels somewhat different than what it is for like other Vanillaware titles like Odin Sphere, Muramasa Demon Play, or Dragon Crown. If you're expecting the gameplay to be kind of like, or at least the story part kind of like that, you're not going to find that here in 13 Sentinel. At least that's how I see it though. Again, I don't have a huge problem with the story. I think it's enjoyable and all that stuff, but I could see where it could be like a drag sometime for some folks out there. Overall, 13 Sentinel Aegis Ring, in my opinion, is a fun game though. But it is a niche title nevertheless though. It's not going to appeal to everybody and all that stuff. It will mostly appeal to those who are fans of the games that Vanillaware has made over the past years though. Whether it's Odin Sphere, Muramasa, Demon Blade, or Dragon Crown though. As far as where this one I would rank it though, I think it's a good title nevertheless, and I enjoy the games that Vanillaware has put out, so I certainly excuse me, I certainly am having fun with this title. But when compared to Muramasa Demon Blade, Dragon Crown, or Odin Sphere, I have to say, to some degree, I like those games more than 13 Sentinel Aegis Rin. That doesn't mean I hate this game or anything like that. I still think it is a good title from Vanillaware. Nevertheless, I still think it's enjoyable. Like I mentioned, if you're into a lot of the sci-fi or anime stuff, you'll definitely like this title though. But if I had to compare it to other Vanillaware titles though, I'm going to say I think Odin Sphere is at the top, with Mirror Monster Demon Blade second, and Dragon Crown at third, and I would put this one at fourth. So overall, even though it doesn't overtake Odin Sphere or anything like that, I still think 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim is still a good game. Those who are into niche titles, or those who enjoy, the titles that Vanillaware has put out, though, then this is one you should probably consider taking a look at, though. I certainly enjoy it, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I did, though. Okay, and this concludes my video review of 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim for the PlayStation 4. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim for the PlayStation 4? Is it a fun title to pick up for the PS4 or play it on the PS5 to be exact though? Do you like these games that Vanillaware has put out? Are you into these kind of niche games to be exact? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I will appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!